My name is Tina, and I'm 32 years old. I have two beautiful children and a husband named Thomas, who is 40. We've been married for 8 years, and when we first got married, I was so happy. Thomas was kind and loving. He smiled often and told me he loved me every single day. I believed him with all my heart and dreamed of building a wonderful life together. Our son Walter was born 3 years after our wedding. He's smart and makes me laugh. 2 years later, our daughter Florence came into our lives. She's gentle and loves to sing. In those early years, Thomas was a good husband. He worked hard and provided for us while I stayed home caring for the children, cooking, cleaning, and helping them learn. Life felt complete. But slowly, things began to change. Thomas started working late and going on business trips without explaining where he was going. He stopped saying those 3 words I had cherished so much. When I asked why he was always so busy, he would snap at me, saying he was working for the family and that I shouldn't question him. My heart ached, but I remained silent. I still loved him and kept hoping he would return to being the man I married. 3 years ago, something shattered my world completely. Thomas went on another trip, and while cleaning, I found 2 plane tickets. One had his name, and the other belonged to a woman I didn't know. I cried for 4 days straight, feeling utterly lost and broken. When he returned, I confronted him. He dismissed my pain, saying she was nobody and that I shouldn't worry. I didn't believe him, but I accepted his answer because I desperately wanted to keep our family together. Walter was only 3, and I couldn't bear the thought of breaking his innocent heart. Years passed, and Thomas never really changed. He continued his late nights and mysterious trips. I knew deep down that he was still seeing the other woman, but I said nothing. My heart grew colder with each passing day. I cleaned our house, but it no longer felt like a home. I cooked meals without joy. When I looked at Thomas, I saw a stranger instead of my husband. One ordinary day, I ran into Jonathan, an old friend from my past. He was with his wife, and I watched him open the car door for her and help her with her coat. Such simple gestures, yet they showed real care and love. Something I had forgotten existed. Jonathan and I began talking, and for the first time in years, I felt seen. He asked how I was doing, and though I said I was fine, we both knew I wasn't. He listened to me and reminded me that I mattered, that I was strong. For 3 months we talked, and I felt alive again. I wasn't looking for gifts or promises, just someone who cared. But Thomas discovered our friendship. He exploded in anger, demanding to know why I had done this. Through my tears, I told him the truth. I needed love. We had long, painful conversations. Thomas cried and begged me not to leave, saying he loved me. I asked him why now, after 8 years of neglect. He said he hadn't realized I was hurting so deeply. Shortly after, I became very sick and ended up in the hospital. Thomas stayed by my side, holding my hand and whispering that he loved me and couldn't lose me. It was only the second time in 8 years I had heard those words. Now he's home, sleeping beside me every night. But I know the other woman is still somewhere in his life, waiting. My heart is exhausted from carrying this weight. I want to believe him, but trust doesn't rebuild itself overnight. I try to smile for Walter and Florence. They deserve happiness, even if mine feels uncertain. I know I'm not perfect either. I made my own mistakes with Jonathan, but all I ever wanted was to feel loved and valued. One evening at dinner, I watched my children laughing and sharing stories from school. Walter sensed something and asked if his father and I were truly happy. Florence, younger and more innocent, simply said she wanted us to stay together. Their words broke my heart because I realized they could feel the sadness I tried so hard to hide. I decided to say goodbye to Jonathan. When we met one last time, he smiled warmly and told me I was strong enough to find my way. I thanked him for reminding me of my worth, then walked away knowing I would never see him again. That chapter had to close. I sat down with Thomas and demanded complete honesty. I asked if he truly wanted our marriage to work, and if he could leave the other woman behind. He promised he would try. I told him trying wasn't enough. I needed commitment, not just words. Slowly, Thomas began making small changes. We took walks together and talked about simple things. A tiny spark of hope appeared, though my heart remained cautious. Forgiving him has been the hardest thing I've ever done. I remember every lonely night, every broken promise, every tear I cried. But I also had to face my own imperfections and the pain I caused. One morning, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "Tina, you're not perfect either. If you want peace, you must forgive." Now I take each day as it comes. Thomas and I are still together, but things aren't perfect. Doubts linger in my mind. I focus on my children and on rediscovering myself. I read books, take quiet walks alone, and slowly learn to love myself again. I wrote myself a letter that I keep in my drawer. It says, "Dear Tina, you are strong, you are kind, and you are important. Life is hard, but you can handle it. Love yourself first, then you can love others. You deserve happiness." This journey taught me that love isn't just spoken words. Love is action, care, and respect. People make mistakes, and nobody is perfect. We all stumble and fall. But what matters most is finding the strength to stand up again, to forgive when it's hard, and to never forget our own worth. I don't know what the future holds, but I know one thing for certain. I will never lose myself again, no matter what happens. My children need a strong mother, and I need to be whole. That's my choice now, and I'm finally at peace with it.